So today we will talk for the world news in the month of July. Let us start. First is BRICS country collectively organized one cultural ministers meeting, which was hosted by India, and India's Minister of State for Culture and Tourism, Mr. Prahlad Singh Patel. This we have to remember. Minister of Culture and Tourism, Mr. Prahlad Singh Patel, hosted sixth BRICS Culture Ministers meeting, and the theme of the meeting was bonding and harmonizing cultural synergy. Bonding and harmonizing cultural synergy. Now the next news is which country's astronauts carried out second spacewalk in its history. So Chinese astronaut successfully carried out the second spacewalk in the country's history, as two of its three astronauts stepped out of the orbiting space station core module for 7 hours and completed the designated task. China's space agency told this. Okay, so first space park which China ने की थी, that was held in 2008. Now they did it in 2021, second spacewalk. Now one more news related to China, that China is the country who is now free of malaria after 70 years of efforts. So who declared this? WHO, World Health Organization, certifies China is free of malaria. So if a question will come that which country recently certified as the free of malaria, then it is China. Now the next is which country reported producing enriched यूरेनियम मेटल. किस कंट्री ने अभी रिपोर्ट किया है कि उसके यहाँ प्रोसेस ऑफ प्रोड्यूसिंग enriched यूरेनियम मेटल है. So the country is Iran. Iran has reportedly begun the process of producing enriched uranium metal. So but this move is not very fortunate in the perception of Western countries. They feel concerned over Iran's this move and accuse it of violating international norms. So basically they are not happy. US, European Union, they are not happy with this, and they told us that Iran is violating the nuclear deal because यूरेनियम मेटल से हम यूरेनियम मेटल से जो है वो न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स बनाए जाते हैं, और उनका कहना है कि ईरान इज़ वायलेटिंग द रूल्स विच वाज incorporated as joint comprehensive plan of action. This is a nuclear deal related document, joint comprehensive plan of action. So Germany, France, Britain, they all are giving grave concern about it, and telling that Iran is violating the JCPOA norms. So now we will learn one more news regarding BRICS. Recently we started that culture ministers meeting was hosted by India. Now the next is the education ministers meeting is also hosted by India. That was hosted by Prahlad Singh Patel, Chairman, Minister of State and Culture Ministers, Cultures and Tourism. Now it is hosted by Sanjay Dhotre, Minister of State and Minister of Education and Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Sanjay Dhotre. So Sanjay Dhotre chaired the education ministers meeting, and theme of meeting was to strengthen their academic and research collaboration in higher education and technical and vocational educational training. TVET, technical and vocational education and training. Okay. Now the next news related to France. फ्रांस ने क्या टेस्ट किया है? हेल्मा पी. हेल्मा पी is a high energy laser for multiple application, a laser powered anti-drone system to destroy a drone during a test of technology conducted near the Atlantic coast in southwestern part of France. That means कि इन्होंने एक एंटी ड्रोन सिस्टम बनाया है विच इज़ नेम्ड एज हेल्मा पीस. सिलास कोई कंपनी है, सिलास ने बनाया है. एंड दिस हेल्मा पी इज़ कैपेबल ऑफ डिटेक्टिंग लाइट वेट कमर्शियल ड्रोन्स फ्रॉम अ डिस्टेंस ऑफ अप टू 3 किलोमीटर, and it can track and destroy drones once they are within 1 kilometer radius of the system. That means 3 किलोमीटर से ये इनको दिख जाता है, डिटेक्ट कर सकते हैं और उसके बाद में 1 किलोमीटर पे आकर के उस ड्रोन को डिस्ट्रॉय भी कर सकते हैं. Who has created this? France has created this. Now the next is who is recently elected as Prime Minister of Sweden. Stefan Löfven. Sweden's Prime Minister is Stefan Löfven. He has been recently re-elected as the Prime Minister by Swedish government. Okay, so Prime Minister of Sweden is Stefan Löfven. Sweden. We can remember like this. Sweden Stefan Löfven. Now one news which is now being very important that G20 finance ministers approved a tax reform for multinationals that aim to put an end to tax haven by introducing a global corporate tax at 15%. समझ ना कि ग्लोबल मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज में मिनिमम कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स कितना लगेगा? 15% एट बार, सभी पर ही. ठीक है, ये अभी इन्होंने अप्रूव किया है. सम कंट्रीज हैव नॉट जॉइंड इट लाइक आयरलैंड एंड अदर कंट्रीज. दे डिड नॉट जॉइन द एग्रीमेंट. नाउ G20 countries has joined and endorsed the action of a group of 132 countries. इसमें शामिल हैं जिन्होंने सेट किया है मिनिमम ग्लोबल कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स एट 15%. मैं क्विकली आपको बोल देती हूँ G20 के मेंबर्स कौन कौन है. अर्जेंटीना, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ब्राज़ील, कनाडा, चाइना, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, जापान, इंडिया, इंडोनेशिया, इटली, मैक्सिको, रशिया, साउथ अफ्रीका, साउथ अरेबिया, साउथ कोरिया, टर्की, UK, US and EU. Spain is also invited as a permanent guest. It's important. Who is permanent guest of G20? Spain. Now the next is a new global framework for managing nature through 2030. This framework has been has came into light by ACB. Third ASEAN Conference on Biodiversity. Third ASEAN Conference on Biodiversity. And what was the theme of it? Towards 2050, living in harmony and nature, with harmony and nature. Towards 2050, living in harmony with nature. So what was the key points? Key points that it was organized by government of Malaysia. And ACB represents the milestones for member states of the ASEAN to implement the post 2020 global biodiversity framework. And there is 21 action targets for 2030 to reduce the threats to biodiversity. Some targets are to mitigate the emission of gigatons of CO2 equivalent by 10%. Second is to eliminate plastic discharge and reduce pesticides by at least 2/3. Third is to conserve at least 30% of land and sea areas globally, especially areas of importance for biodiversity and its contribution to people. Fourth is to reduce the rate of introduction of invasive alien species by 50% and control its eradication. And the fifth is US dollar 200 billion increase in international financial flows to developing countries.